Hey, Daily Dosers, happy Monday to you. Chris here, and man, happy New Year. Let's do this year differently than the last two, can we? And with that, I'm going to start with a question. Have you ever had an epiphany? An epiphany. Are you familiar with that word? A lot of us are familiar with that word, but not quite sure what it means or how it's used. Usually it's used to an awakening, or I just realized something about the essence of something in a brand new light, or the gravity of a situation. Your eyes are open, the light bulb goes off. You're like, I just had an epiphany. I remember when I was a youth pastor, I was driving one of those old yellow school buses. We had a couple of them at our church. It's filled with kids. We're going down the road, and about 5 seats behind me, a sophomore girl starts screaming. There's a lot of conversation. I can't make out what's going on. Then there's a ton of laughter, and so I'm asking people, what is going on back there? Hey, what is going on back there? We were driving the bus on one of those days where you can see the moon in the sky, and some days you got the sun up, but you can see the moon. And this girl happened to look out the window, a sophomore in high school, and saw the moon and started freaking out. Up until that day, she thought the moon and the sun were the exact same celestial object in the sky. She thought the sun was bright in the day and it was dim at night. She didn't realize they were two distinct different things. And on that day, she had an epiphany. The sun is out, but the moon is there, and her mind exploded. And as the other high schoolers, also a part of public education, tried to sort out the difference between the sun and the moon for her, her eyes were open to such things. That's an epiphany moment. There's also a celebration that happens this week in January in a lot of religious circles called the Epiphany. It's a celebration of lights. It's where God opened the eyes of mankind by appearing. The most notable one, and the Epiphany comes from the story of the wise men. We just did it 2 weeks ago at church. And the wise men followed the star, the Epiphany, where God showed them where the child was, and the light that they followed, and God led them to Christ. And we're going to take a week talking about what light does God do to lead you? What do we need to do to be following? Now, this past weekend, I just did a message on Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I did a message on all of us training ourselves to be godly this year. Man, if you didn't hear it, it's the one message that kicked off our entire church, our theme, kind of the heart of North Coast for this year. I just did it yesterday. To be smart men, smart women, to be wise people, but to be very Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego-esque and go, man, I'm gonna commit my heart and my mind for a deeper walk with God. And let me read you some verses that I think kind of gets us motivated down that track. We're in Romans chapter 10. And if you ever wonder, how do you know if you're saved or not? Now, I love this, Romans 10:9. That if you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord, you believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. That's it. Can you know you're saved? Yes. You make Jesus Lord of your life. You declare he's Lord, and we talked this weekend. That means you're under his lordship. You believe in your heart that Jesus Christ died on the cross and raised from the dead. You will be saved. For it is with your heart that you believe and are justified. It's with your mouth that you profess your faith. You give him lordship and are saved. And then it says this in verse 16. But not everyone accepts the good news. And in verse 17, consequently, faith comes from hearing the message, and the message is heard through the word of God, or the message is heard through the word about Christ. Where does our faith come from? Our faith comes from the word and hearing the message of Christ. This is, in a very real way, this is our epiphany. This is what God, the light God has given us today. His word, everything we need to know about him, his relationship, how he loves us, everything I need to know about my finances, my health, my wife, about your singleness, about raising kids, about not having kids, about my values, about my anger, about my temper, about my priorities, how to handle the possessions I have in life. Everything that I need to know about walking with this God in this relationship is given to me. This is our epiphany. Our faith grows through the word of God and hearing the word of God and putting this into our life. I know I'm talking to the choir because you're taking a Monday and you're spending time listening about the word of God. You're already setting your hearts and minds attuned to his lordship. But can I just challenge all of us as I did this weekend? May we spend this year making sure not a day goes by where our minds and hearts are not devoted to him, where this commitment to God affects every part of our daily existence, where we take the epiphany, the word of God, whatever light he has given us, and we allow that to grow brighter and brighter and brighter, stronger and stronger in our lives, so that we can actually be the light of the world as well, that we can be people that display this love and relationship with God that we're going to walk in this year to others. This is our epiphany. This is the light that we follow. This is what we've been given. The Word of God in our hands to teach us how to walk with God. May this be a year we lean into it more than ever before. We'll see you tomorrow.